drought displaces over 500,000 people in Somalia, leaving the country at risk of famine, and a cholera outbreak makes matters even worse.
Peace slowly returns to southern Kaduna after years of attacks by armed bandits and herdsmen. Now the focus is on fixing the damage done.
And people across Africa start using their most abundant natural power source, the sun, as solar panels become more affordable. Africa 54 starts right now.
Chamberlain saw at Channels Television here in Lagos. Thank you for joining us. In the next half hour, we'll be bringing you news and features from around the continent.
And I'm Vincent McCory, Voice of America at Studio 51 at our VOA Global Headquarters here in Washington. Thanks for joining us today, everyone. Now let's start this time in southern Kaduna State, where peace and relief is slowly returning to communities there hard hit by violence. Chamberlain has details on our first story on the source of much-needed relief.
After years of incessant attacks by bandits and herders, residents are finally getting some relief as they work to repair the damage done. The National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is helping with the donation of relief materials for over 3,000 victims. Here's our report.
Every attack in southern Kaduna communities leaves in its trail death and injury. The assailants also destroy houses and farmland, leaving those who survived homeless and without means. Here, in the state capital, the National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons is providing succor to victims of the attacks by providing relief material, including mattresses, blankets, bags of rice, and other grains to representatives of affected persons from 4 local government areas, namely Sanga, Kaura, Jema, and Kauru.
The provision of relief materials today, therefore, does not reflect the totality of our interventions as a commission. Neither does it represent what we hope to achieve. Rather, it is a means for us to demonstrate to you that we empathize with you, with your plight of the affected populations, and assure you all that we are very committed to our responsibilities.
With the restoration of relative peace, the head of the commission says the federal government will be closing camps for internally displaced persons in the state and ensure the safe return to their respective communities.
17 cartons of Cyclox syrup.
The Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, KADSEMA, another body in the business of catering for internally displaced persons, commends the federal government's efforts, promising to distribute the items judiciously.
During this incident, 4 local governments in Kaduna State were affected. And in that situation, over 3,000 families were affected. Just as we've given you the statistics, and it was based on that you responded to that, we are saying thank you too.
While the beneficiaries are thankful, they desire more support.
In fact, I appreciate what the federal government has done. Thank you very much.
We never thought of something of such will come to our aids. And we are still pleading with the federal government in terms of shelter, in terms of our welfare. That's, we have children, the children are scattered, and since they are scattered, they need education because it's the only bedrock of our survival.
This intervention comes amidst the peace now experienced in southern Kaduna, which is not unconnected to the recent launch of a special military operation in the state to rid the area of bandits. The expectation of the natives is for the peace to be sustained.
Let's continue our discussion now about the situation in southern Kaduna communities and the many people who have been displaced. For that, we're joined now by the Executive Secretary of the Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Ezekiel Babakarik. Welcome to Africa 54. Let's start by asking you to tell us what the humanitarian situation is at the moment there.
Let me start by saying it categorically that peace has returned to the southern Kaduna area, and the humanitarian situation, I think it is now, it is okay. because a lot of effort has been put in place in order to provide succor or to provide to palliative measures in order to cushion the effect of the disaster.
All right. What's the figure, the number of displaced persons that you're dealing with at the moment?
Well, at the moment, this issue of Southern Kaduna, the situation, they affect only 3 local governments in that area. But the one that is worst hit is that of Jamal local government. But I want to put it on record that there is a local government that was affected sometimes ago last year, middle or towards the end of the year. That's Kauru local government in Chawe district. And we have Kaura local government too in Kaduna, in Southern Kaduna, and the Jamal. To start with, the Kaura local government, we have about 2,000 families were displaced in Kaura, while in Jamal we have about 6,000 families that were displaced. And where it was worst hit is the Jamal local government, where 21,942 families were displaced. These are the accurate figures of the IDPs we have.
Well, that's certainly quite a handful of what you have to deal with. We do know that relief materials, they have their role in this kind of situation. But beyond that, what other measures are you putting in place to provide relief for those displaced?
Well, thank you very much. Quite well, we have done all we could, because the mandate of my agency, the State Emergency Management Agency, is to coordinate resources and relief materials for affected communities. And we, in our own little way, at the state, as government, we were able to do that which is expected of us, especially like Jamal local government, where 22 communities were affected. And we make sure we intervene in each, when an incident occurs, we intervene to that in order to provide succor to the victims. And we've done that, and I want to use this medium too to appreciate other non-governmental organizations, individuals, and whatever that came to the aid of these people.
Could you tell us, in terms of what kind of response are there now, and who are those involved? Is it government, non-governmental organizations? Who and what exactly are they doing?
Yeah, there are quite a number of organizations which I cannot mention their names of it at the moment. There is this NGO that came on their own. They went to provide this relief material. There are quite a number of individuals that they do not come direct to us. They will go directly to the affected people. And apart from that, NEMA has come into this situation on 3 occasions. And we have the National Refugee Commission, where the High Commissioner of that commission came personally to the state and presented some relief materials running into about 2,000 items.
All right, Mr. Ezekiel, I beg your pardon, the Executive Secretary of Kaduna State Emergency Management Agency, Ezekiel Baba Carrick. Thank you for talking to us today on Africa 54.